This is the rental property analyzer. It is a spreadsheet that I created in Excel, and I use it to analyze rental properties, mostly single families, but it'll also work for duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. Anything larger than that, you should probably be using a different software, though I do think you may be able to get it to work, but it really works best in the 1 to 4 units. So this is a template that we at Liberty Property Investing created to use to analyze all of our potential deals. You can find other free rental property analyzers online. Biggerpockets.com has some great ones, but for me, they never did exactly what I wanted, so I made this myself, and it tends to work for us. Now, if you want this with all the formulas and cells working, you can have it absolutely free. All you have to do is go on over to youtube.com/c/Liberty Property Investing. You can also just search Liberty Property Investing, and go ahead and subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment on this video or another video, and send me an email, and I'll send this over to you right away and help you with it if you have any questions or problems. Now, let me walk you through exactly how we analyze one of our recent deals. And again, this is going to be different for every person, every deal, so I left everything unlocked and flexible, so you can go ahead and change any of the formulas that you want. Now, everything in yellow is something that impacts a formula, so that's really what you're going to want to update. So we're going to go ahead and analyze a recent deal that I had. I'm not going to fill in the address, but it was a 2-bedroom property, 1 bathroom, and it was about 1,200 square feet. And actually, this is a property we did end up buying, so these are all true numbers. Our after repair value is $65,000. Yes, we bought this in Hamilton, New Jersey, so it's fairly cheap. I understand most markets out there are going to be more expensive, but for us, this is what worked in our market. But this calculator will still work no matter what market you're in. Okay, so our purchase price was $52,000. We had maybe $3,000 in closing costs, maybe a little less. I don't remember exactly. I always budget on $3,000 in closing costs, and we had $5,000 of rehab costs that we were financing as well. So there's one section here that says if you're financing your rehab costs, so if you're using a private money loan or some other kind of loan, you want to put the rehab cost here. So in this example, we purchased for $52,000, we had $3,000 in closing, and then we budgeted another $5,000 for rehab. So for a total all-in cost of $60,000. Now, we got a private loan from another investor for that full $60,000. So in this instance, we actually had a 0 down deal. We did not put any of our own money into this property. So here, we're going to go ahead and update this. We had a $0 down, and we had 0 in rehab that we brought to the cost. Now, if you are doing your rehab costs out of your own pocket, if you're bringing cash, you're going to put that number over here. So our total investment actually was $0 into this deal because we got it fully financed by a private lender. And we'll have another video on private lending, or you could see some of our other videos on our channel if you're interested in that. So we borrowed $60,000 for this project. Now, this property is a 1 2-bedroom unit. There's no garage on this one, and there's no 3-bedroom unit. I left this in case you're looking at a triplex or something, so we don't need any numbers here. But it's a 1 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom unit, and we have it rented for $1,200. So I note the unit. I note how much money we're making per month, and there's 1 unit there. That's the 2-1. If you have other units, you can fill them in and put in the quantity, but it automatically sums it up. So we've got $1,200 per month coming in, which is summed up down here, and then of course our annual total rent. So that's our income side of things. So let's move over to the expenses. So expenses each year, excuse me, we actually have our tenants pay for water and sewer. We bill them back. So we're not putting any money into water and sewer. Vacancy is something that not every landlord plans on, but we always plan on vacancy. We plan on usually between 5 to 8% 8.33% would be one vacant month per year. Through our management, we're able to generally see about a 3 to 5% vacancy rate. So I generally run a 5% vacancy rate here. And so you can see that calculation here. It takes the monthly rent and multiplies it by 5%, and that gets us our vacancy of $60 per month. Now this is the monthly column, and then this is an annual column, and of course a column for any notes that you want to put in. Now in Trenton, New Jersey, there's a landlord license of $115 per year. So really this is here for you to note anything extra or other that you might need to count on that's not a regular rehab or repair. But for every property that we have, it's $115. It's actually a little different in Hamilton where this property was, but it was comparable. So I'll leave that in here, and I'll just put Hamilton, New Jersey. Okay, so we're going to look at the taxes for this property. Taxes are based per year, and on this property are about $3,200 per year. And as you can see, that updates our monthly amount as well. Now on this property, it's a single family house, so we do not have tenants pay for we do have tenants pay for the heat. We don't have anything to do with that, so we're going to drop that down to 0. Now insurance on this property is about $525 per year. You see about $43 or $45 per month. It's pretty common for our area for a house of this size. If you want a real number for your property, just call an agent, and they should be able to give you a quote fairly quickly for property when you're running your numbers. That way you get the real number and you don't have to estimate based on your last property or something. Finally, next up is electric. Again, like heat, our tenants pay for all of that, so we don't pay for any electric in this property. Now, management costs. Management in our area costs about 10%, 10% of rent collected. So we plan on that, and again, it's just a basic calculation where it's calculating from the monthly amount times 10%. Now, we self-manage our properties, but eventually one day we may want to sell this property. So I do want to plan on the management costs, at least when I'm running my first pass on the numbers, even if we are going to take that for ourselves as some cash flow. Maintenance is something that you're going to set aside for things like repairing, general repairs on the property. Could also be used for pest control. Things are going to break, electrical switches, or the ceiling fan's not going to work. Something's going to crack. I mean, that's where you're setting aside money for maintenance each year. And then CapEx is to replace larger ticket items in the house. So maybe every 5 years you have to replace the carpet, and every 10 years you have to replace the appliances, and every 20 years or 30 years you have to replace the roof. This is setting aside money for some of those bigger ticket items that you may not be having to pay for every month or every year, but eventually you're going to have some big expenses, so we'd rather set aside the money for those costs up front. So a lot of people on Bigger Pockets like to look at the 50% rule, and what that means is you take the monthly income and you divide that in half, or times 50% for the expenses. And as I like to run this whole exercise because I like to break out the specific details, but you can see here our monthly expenses are coming in at $620 versus our monthly rent of $1,200, so it's actually pretty close to the 50% rule. So in this case, that may work, but if anything were to change, like if we had to pay for the water sewer, then that number, that 50% rule, would not make sense on this property. So definitely run all these numbers when you're analyzing your deal. Now, let's see if this deal even makes sense. So I told you we didn't put anything into this property. We borrowed 60% from a private lender. We actually borrowed this at 7%. So for 7%, for a 30-year loan, our payment is $399. And that's calculated on this next tab over here. You can see the calculation. You don't actually need to touch this tab. Everything just works when you set it up over here. All right, so it's an amortized loan. $399.18 is what we send our private lender every single month. Now, does that mean it's a good deal? Let's see. So we look at the analysis here. We're looking at $1,200 income that came from up here, $620 expenses that came from up here. our mortgage of $399, which came from over here. And some simple math shows us that we're cash flowing $180 per month and $2,000 per year. Now, again, we put nothing into this deal. So if we're putting nothing into the deal, our tenants are paying down our mortgage and we're cash flowing $2,000 per year. I'd say that's pretty good. This meets our goals, which is why we purchased this property. But let's take a look and see how some of these things might change if you were putting money down. So let's say that you were going to put down 20% of the overall of the purchase price. So you could just set a formula. So you could say purchase price times, let's say 25% down. And let's say you were bringing the rehab costs. Means we're going to take that out of here. Okay. So let's see. We're borrowing. So this is saying you're bringing $18,000 between the down payment and the rehab costs, and you're borrowing $42,000. So let's see what that does. Let's say then your loan is going to be somewhere probably closer to 5% because you're probably doing this from a bank. So I didn't touch anything on the income and expenses. Nothing gets changed there. We're just changing the terms at the top and seeing what happens to the loan and then the analysis at the end. So now you can see our mortgage went down from $399 to $225, which really bumps up our cash flow to $354 per month. And that leaves us with an ROI of 23.64%. Some people might think that's a pretty good ROI. I sure do. But again, it depends on what your goals are. Then you could decide, okay, well, excuse me, maybe we're going to do 100% of this, and we're going to put down 100% of the deal plus the closing cost. I don't have a line over here for closing costs, so let's just make this $55,000. We'll zero these out over here. So we're bringing the full. I broke the calculation. Let's see. Okay, purchasing this for 55. There we go, and we're investing 60. Okay, I went too far with too many deletions there. Leave that. Don't delete that out here. But this is saying, all right, we're putting in $60,000. So our investment is $60,000. We have no monthly payment because there's no loan anymore, and that drops our ROI down when it runs through. We're cash flowing $580, so that's the most cash flow. But then the ROI is lower because you're putting more money in. It's only 11.6%. So you have to decide what makes sense for you. Can you get a loan on this property? Can you, do you only have the money for the down payment? Do you just want to put all the money in and not have to worry about it? So you can play with different scenarios in this and see what it does to your yearly cash flow and your ROI. So that's it. That's how to use the rental spreadsheet template. If you have any questions, please send me a message at justin@libertypropertyinvesting.com. Please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to like our Facebook page. That's it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video.